Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm in this brand new Genesis GV70 and I'm convinced this is the best electric SUV on the market today. That's quite a bold statement to make, I know, because the market's absolutely flooded with this type of car, but I've been living with this now for the last couple of weeks and I genuinely think it is. You see, many people think that EVs are bland and soulless. In fairness, most are. They're white goods, a giant toaster on four wheels, just a means of getting from one place to another. The Genesis, however, is the first fully electric car I've ever driven, and not thought of as simply a mode of transport. It's a beautiful car to use, this. It's got character and charm and soul. There's a lot more besides that too, but first, let me give you some background. You might not have even heard of Genesis before. In fact, you'd be forgiven for thinking this was a Bentley, because it shares a very similar badge. And it just has that air about it, that premium look and feel. I've noticed as well this turns a lot of heads. Presumably it's because people think it's the latest offering from the craftsmen at Crew. Not bad really, considering this is about the third of the price of a Bentley. Genesis is the luxury division of Hyundai Kia, the South Korean car company. They are to Hyundai what Lexus is to Toyota, or Infiniti is to Nissan, or Acura is to Honda. Quite a long list, this. Anyway, they've been around now for about a decade. I remember seeing the full lineup of executive saloons on offer at a Genesis event in Santa Monica back in 2016, and I was really impressed. They looked amazing. I couldn't quite believe my eyes. I love to see a car that I've never seen before. There was the G70, the G80 and the flagship G90, and that's the one I was most impressed with. It even had a V8. They recently introduced the GV range, which are all SUVs. The V stands for versatile. And excitingly, they're now available in the UK. There's the GV60, which is slightly smaller than this GV70, and the larger GV80. And they're all really good looking cars. I think this GV70 though is the Goldilocks of the range. It really is the perfect size car for UK roads. The GV70 has been around in other markets since 2020, and in other markets it's available with several engines. There are a couple of petrols, including a 3.5 litre V6 and even a diesel. The one I'm in today though is the fully electric variant. This uses a 77 kilowatt-hour battery and it has a motor on each axle, making it four-wheel drive. You even get various off-road settings down here too. That 77 kilowatt-hour battery with the twin motors is the only option. There isn't a cheaper one with only one motor. Perhaps there should be. What's really mind-blowing about this car though is the fact it produces nearly 500 horsepower. 500 horsepower, meaning this will do 0 to 62 in just 4.2 seconds. It's so quick, in fact, this actually has a faster 0 to 62 time than the twin turbocharged V8 Bentayga that I filmed with last month. How mad is that? It isn't just childish straight line acceleration either. This handles brilliantly and it rides beautifully. You have this little button here on the steering wheel which looks fairly innocuous. It says boost. What it does is give you a brief period of invincibility. Press it and everything around you becomes a blur. Watch this. That's seriously quick. Bordering ludicrous actually. You get 10 seconds of ridiculous acceleration, and at the same time the side bolsters grip you in, keeping you firmly in your place. I haven't tired yet of that button. It's hilarious. It's funny because it's so unexpected. The car's so peaceful and tranquil and serene. You really don't expect it to rip your face off. The interior of the Genesis GV70 is... there's no other word for it really. It's stunning. It really is top drawer. From the minute you open the door and take a seat, it makes you feel special. But more importantly, it makes you feel calm and relaxed. Having used this now for a fortnight, I genuinely feel like my well-being's improved. And there aren't many cars that I can say that about. I've been on the online configurator, so I know other colours are available, but if I were to spec one from new, I would choose this pale leather interior. It's just beautiful. It's clean but not sterile. It's warm and welcoming. You'll immediately feel right at home. I also like the fact that it isn't gimmicky at all. There are no juvenile whoopee cushion sound effects or karaoke modes, none of that. It's just a nice, mature car. It's packed with all the technology you've become accustomed to, and it's all very user-friendly. You won't need to spend long in this car to figure it all out. Genesis really do deserve a pat on the back for this. I love the fact that they've given you proper dials for the climate control, so they're nice and easy to operate. You also get heated and cooled seats, a heated steering wheel. The overall quality and fit and finish of everything you touch, press and feel is top notch. It's really good for the senses, this car. Everything's soft or weighty or knurled. I'm not sure how it'll hold up over time, but right now, while it's new, it does almost feel like you're in a Bentley. And praise doesn't get any higher than that. Nothing's been overlooked. It's really good, this car. I've instantly bonded with it. I love the fact you get a traditional gauge cluster and this big screen here. It feels like a traditional car that just happens to be electric, rather than some newfangled gimmicky thing. Before I had any experience with this car, I would have honestly turned my nose up at the thought of owning a Genesis. I'd have probably just gone with a more well-known brand. But after just 2 weeks with this, I realised how ignorant I was. Even the ticking of the indicator sounds upmarket. Like I say, they've thought of everything. We're on a straight, clear road. Let me do the boost again. That's ridiculous. Had a couple of seconds there of genuine panic. That's properly quick. It's such a nice car to drive and be in this. This is why I said right at the start, this is the best electric SUV you can buy in the UK. If you go for one though, just make sure it's got something called the Innovation Pack. What that is essentially is a noise cancelling system. So what it does is produce its own frequency which manages to drown out any ambient noise. How clever is that? You might be worried now that I've taken my hands off the steering wheel, but you didn't need to be, because this will do it for you. You set your adaptive cruise control and this will pick up the pieces for you. I love these little blind spot cameras as well. As soon as you put your indicator on, it just appears on your gauge cluster. As it's a fully electric car, you might be curious to know its range. Well, the claimed range is about 280 miles, but in my experience, the real figure is about 230. Still, not too bad, is it? If you do venture further out than that and you need to take a charge whilst you're out and about, this is capable of a fast charge. So if you can find a 350 kilowatt fast charge, and I think BP do them, then this will charge from 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes. Just a word of warning though, that will cost you about £40. Or if you've got a home wall charger installed, this will charge from 10% to full in about 7 hours. The GV70 is very practical too. There's loads of space up front, loads of room in the back, and the boot offers 503 litres of space. If you fold the rear seats down, that space increases to 1678 litres. It's also quite easy to load things in and out of as well because the boot's flat. There's plenty of visibility, you get a head-up display system, the wing mirrors are a good size, you get nice comfortable armrests, 2 cup holders, plenty of storage. It really does score well on all fronts. I know it's a bit of a cliche when talking about cars, and you can probably finish this sentence for me, but I think it has to be said. It's just a lovely place to be. The overall design's lovely too. I love this big screen you get in the centre. Actually, I do have one criticism. You can control this screen here, either by touch, but then it's covered in fingerprints, or using this rotary dial. It's all very easy to use, but this rotary dial happens to be exactly the same size and almost the same location as your gear selector. Several times now I've been trying to do a quick 3-point turn and I've accidentally used this rotary knob instead. Something else I've got to mention are the massage seats. Now, massage seats are quite common these days, but what I've never seen before is a massaging base. Usually massage seats only do the upright part, but never the base. This one does the base. In the words of Meghan Trainor, it's all about the bass. No treble. Oh yes. So good, this car. Sadly, all this goodness does come at a cost. This car, as tested, costs £78,000. It is a lot, I can't argue any otherwise, so as a private purchase, it might be quite hard to justify. Especially when you consider the worryingly low residuals on EVs these days. But as a company car, or a business lease, then they start to make a lot of sense. I also love the rarity of it. Since I've had this, I haven't seen another one on the road. Every man and his dog these days drives some sort of Audi or BMW or Merc, but hardly anybody drives a Genesis. So I think by driving a Genesis, it makes you look like you aren't a sheep, and I like that. Above all else though, this is the first electric car that's given me that buzz, that fizz in my stomach, that indescribable feelings that only petrol heads seem to know. So perhaps we shouldn't fear EVs, or consider them all as silent and soulless, because the GV70 certainly isn't. Actually, that's not true, it is one of those things. It is silent. Before I started filming today, I spent half an hour with the lads in the office who have all driven this, and we were trying to think of things we didn't like about it. And after half an hour of brainstorming, we couldn't come up with anything. In fact, that's not strictly true. We all agreed the design of the gear lever was stupid, and we all wished that it had a range of 400 miles. But apart from that, we all concluded it was a really good, competent car. Certainly the best electric SUV that any of us have driven. So, ladies and gents, that is the GV70, the best electric car on sale in the UK today. But before I say my thanks and goodbyes, I must address the elephant in the room. As much as there is to like about this car, I'm still not sold on EVs. I just don't think the infrastructure's there. Charging an EV publicly here in the UK is a stressful and costly ordeal. I've recently moved house and I don't have a wall charger at home, so I've been relying purely on public charging points, and it's taken years off my life. It's frustrating, but they either don't work or they're busy. The other day I was going down to Shedfest at the British Motor Museum in Gaydon, and it took me 4 attempts at various service stations to find a working charger. I eventually found a spot that was free. There was a Kia e-Niro parked to the left of me and an empty spot to the right. In the middle was a charger. The machine had various leads on it, but the one I needed was being used by this e-Niro. So I thought, never mind, I'll use my double-ended socket thing in the boot. So I plugged one end into the car and one end into the machine, and after 10 minutes of waiting for the spinning wheel to stop spinning and work, it didn't work. So when I called the helpline, the very unhelpful lady on the other end of the phone said, is there a car parked next to you? Yes, there is. There are 2 bays. Well, I'm afraid you've got to wait for that one to stop charging before yours will take a charge. I said, are you being serious? She said, yeah, that's how it works. Why? Why is that a thing? Eventually I had to crawl to one of the services and found one which wasn't being used, and it cost me £42 and took 1 hour and 10 minutes. It isn't good enough. On top of that, there's no standardisation, the leads are all different, some require an app, some don't, so you've got to stand there in the rain whilst trying to download this app from the App Store. Then you've got more usernames, passwords, you've got to tell it your mother's maiden name and the name of your favourite pet and all that sort of nonsense, and I hate it. Why not just have one company that does it all? Why can't I just tap my credit card and just let me buy some electricity at a fair price, not £40? None of this, by the way, is the fault of Genesis. We're just not ready for a mass rollout of EVs. We're not. Anyway, that's my EV rant over. But if you are in the market for an electric SUV, then really you need to look at a GV70, because it's about as good as they get. Cheers guys, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. And yeah, see you next time. Cheers guys.